If you are a freelancer that hates marketing themselves, this video will change your life. Outreach or prospecting is the only thing that gets you clients. So at the same time, it's the only thing that you cannot stop, right? But it's also very time consuming. So the solution to that is you stop doing the prospecting yourself, you delegate it to someone else. And this is what we are going to cover today, which I call the delegated prospecting engine, which is our proprietary system we've built after working with over 149 freelancers across all different kinds of industries. And I want to warn you, this video is going to be long, boring, and technical because we're going to get into offer and niche. We're going to go into client acquisition, platform selection, the whole process with numbers and real life examples. We're going to go into how to delegate that outreach, which is key. And then we're going to go into sales refinement, how to engineer your calls, how to close deals, how to make more money. So this is going to be a very long video. And before we get into it, I just want to address who can implement this, who this is for, who this is not for, okay? Because I don't want to waste your time if this is not for you. So first things first, guys, who can implement this? Well, if you're like our client Emma, maybe you're a ghostwriter and you're a mother of 4, have a full-time job, and you want to make $157,000 in 3 months like Emma did, then this could be for you. Max, video editor, Emmy award-winning creative, 10 to 20K a month in 3 months from scratch with our system. David transitioned from being a full-time copywriter for 17 years after almost losing his mortgage to being a full-time ghostwriter and making $170,000 in just 5 months. Or even Megan, who started from scratch with her only experience being one single client, and she got from 0 to 3 retainers in just 3 months of implementing the delegated prospecting engine. On a general note, this is for you if you're an established premium freelancer and you're at 3 to 10K a month and you want to scale past that. If your lead flow is inconsistent based on referrals, Upwork, or random inbound, if you feel like outreach is a second full-time job, if you want stability and peace of mind, then this is for you. This is not for you, however, if you're a complete beginner with no proof of real client work, okay? So if you don't have at least one client you worked with in the past and you know what you're doing, I'm not here to teach you how to write copy or how to write books or how to do video editing, okay? So you should hone that in first. If you want clients but you refuse to do outreach and you consider it salesy, then this isn't for you, okay? I'm not gonna sit here trying to explain why outreach is valuable. If you genuinely feel like outreach is never gonna work with you, then you should just go watch my other videos where I talk more about why outreach is a good channel, okay? Because this one is not gonna be about that. Or if you're always watching courses and looking for the next shiny thumbnail that says free 3-hour copywriting course or whatever, but you never execute, then again, this isn't for you. Save yourself the time, save myself the algorithm, and yeah, that's pretty much all that I can say, okay? Because I think this right here is gonna be very valuable, so I want only action takers to actually watch it all the way to the end. So that's pretty much it. Now, let's get into the actual system, okay? Because we're gonna cover these 4 main pillars: offer, niche, client acquisition, delegation, sales, okay? So let's start with the most important thing in a freelancing business, which is the offer and the niche. If you don't have this set up properly, nothing else matters. Client acquisition is not gonna work, delegation is not gonna work, sales is not gonna work. So that's why we cover this first, all right? Now, let's talk first about niche, okay? How do we choose a good niche? I think most people, and I'm gonna be very controversial here, most people say that following your passion is good, or doing like what you're good at already, you know? So like if you've been in finance, you should write copy for the finance niche, or you should write ghostwrite books for professionals, right? But I think 90% of the times, okay, so not every time, but 90% of the times that leads you in the get better trap, where most freelancers are, where you think working harder, learning more skills, and following passion is the successful way of doing things. But I'm gonna tell you straight up, that leads you to broke clients with no motivation. So what I need you to do is I need you to transition into finding a crown niche. Okay, a crown niche is basically focusing on better buyers, people that have money, using the same skills you have, because you're still a copywriter, you're still a ghostwriter, you're still a video editor. But instead of following passion, you follow opportunity. Because as a creative and as a freelancer, you have to understand that passion is the one that fuels creativity, but opportunity pays the bills. It could be both in 10% of the cases, but I promise you, 9 out of 10 people watching this, like that's not gonna be the case for you, okay? I'm not saying ditch your passion and focus on opportunity only. I'm saying use opportunity to make money that can fuel your passion and keep the passion as a passion, okay? That's why it's a passion. That's why it's called that way, okay? That's pretty much it. Now with crown niches, the good thing is that money isn't the problem and they value your work, okay? Now Dennis, how do I identify these types of niches and what do you mean by crown niches? Like what are you rambling on about, okay? Let me explain. This is the crown niche identification framework. This is how you find crown niches. A crown niche, guys, is basically a niche that is marketing aware. So you don't have to sit there and explain what copywriting is for 30 minutes or what book ghostwriting is for 40 minutes. They offer high value themselves and price accordingly. So they sell expensive services or they're like a high net worth individual. And total addressable market, okay, that's what TAM stands for, is decent enough. You have at least 10,000 people in your target area. It could be the US, English-speaking countries, worldwide, depends, right? But you need at least 10,000 people because otherwise cold outbound is not going to work. You're just not going to have the volume for it. And they need to have a digital presence somewhere, preferably on LinkedIn. Why LinkedIn? Because it's the best platform out there. And we're going to get into that in phase 2 where we cover platform selection, okay? So stay tuned for that. And how do you find these niches? Well, it's pretty simple. I'm going to give you some examples, but the basic framework is first of all using your goddamn brain, right? Think about it. If I look at the criteria, the first person that comes in my mind here is a wealth management advisor. They know marketing, they offer high value services, there are 10K people in the US and they have a digital presence on LinkedIn, okay? Or maybe tech founders. Marketing is what they breathe, they offer high value services, addressable market is good, digital presence, okay? So what you do is you use your brain and you use ChatGPT, okay? You don't have to do research like it's the 90s anymore. You don't have to look on Google and scroll through 10 million pages. Just ask ChatGPT because it's gonna give you the answer in literally like seconds, okay? And I've put together a niche generation prompt for you, okay? I'm not gonna show it to you now because we're just gonna waste time, but this document, you will find it in the description. So just copy paste this into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI you're using. Fill in the blanks with your niche market and like the info that you see in brackets, okay? And then it's gonna generate a list of high quality crown niches that you can go after, okay? That's pretty much it. Now again, let's go through some examples. For email marketing, again, a good crown niche, wealth management advisors. Why? Because they make multi-five figures per client, strong LinkedIn presence, total addressable market is good, and they know they need marketing, okay? Or for ghostwriting books, it can be executive coaches. Authority is their main leverage. They have a good LinkedIn presence, huge budget sizes, and they have a business-oriented mindset. Now let's go through some bad examples. Email marketing. We have pet shops. Pet shops are mom and pop biz mindset, right? So they're not going to spend 3K a month on marketing. They don't understand Klaviyo and emails and newsletters, okay? They struggle to make profit. These businesses are mostly built to survive, not to thrive. So you're not going to be in the best position possible to offer them something as a service provider. Total addressable market is very, very low and local, okay? Because you cannot market them outside of their network or outside of their city, right? And lastly, they need revenue, not marketing. They need to like, I don't know, get more people to buy dogs in their city or something, you know, but they do not need email revenue. They don't need to like run better ads. They don't even know what ads are, okay? So that's why this is a bad niche for opportunity. Ghostwriting, startup CEOs, okay? Their funds are better allocated on marketing. If I'm starting up a business and I'm either bootstrapped or even if I get funding, I'm not gonna spend the funding on writing a book about myself and how cool I am. I'm gonna actually use those funds on marketing. They have no desire for personal projects because their focus is here on growing the business, and total addressable market is okay, but most startups are fake. Come on, like if you go on LinkedIn and you look for people with 1 to 10 employees, I promise you 80% of them are lying about the number of employees, okay? And they're just like people, like solopreneurs trying to crack the code and whatever, okay? So that is why this is a bad niche. So I hope you, by now, like you get to see the difference of what a bad niche is or what like a crown niche is, okay? So now that we understand this, go ahead and find your niche after this video, okay? That's step 1. Now, step number 2. After you find the niche, you need to build a leveraged offer. Okay, and by leveraged offer, I mean something that people can actually buy. And I'm going to explain what this is. When you offer something to someone, it needs to have an emotional trigger and a logical trigger. Do you know how people say that B2C buys from emotion and B2B buys from logic? Why not just have both, right? I mean, most of you are probably going to be in B2B because you're a service provider. unless you're maybe a ghostwriter and you work with like veterans or anything like that. But anyways, the point is you will need an emotional trigger and a logical trigger. Let me tell you what an emotional trigger is. So when you work with someone, regardless of what kind of freelancing you are doing, you have a customer current state, so where they start before they work with you, and you have a desired state, right? So this is where they get after they receive the service fully, right? And let's say you do copywriting. Now, the problem is your offer and the way you present yourself in your outreach messages, on your profile, in your content, in your posts is by talking about copywriting. And that is bad. Why? Because copywriting is the delivery mechanism. It's only how you get someone from A to B, all right? What people are looking for is the B, the desired state, okay? Because if I go to the gym, I don't care that I'm going to the gym. I care that I'm going to have a better body, to build muscle, to feel better, to, I don't know, like lose weight or whatever the goal might be. So I don't really care, like if people would tell me, hey, do you want to come to the gym? I would be like, why would I go to the gym? Like, this doesn't make any sense. If they would tell me, hey, do you want to go lose weight? Yes. Okay, how do we do that? By going to the gym, all right? This is a leveraged offer. If you can shift your perspective in your content, in your profile, in your messages, in your outbound, to talk about the desired state instead of the delivery mechanism, this is going to be emotional because now people can see, hey, this guy or this girl or this woman actually understands what I want, right? Instead of being you-centered by selling the service, you have to be them-centered, right? That's pretty much it. That's how you build an emotional hook with your offer. Now the logical, and this is where most freelancers go wrong, is again, we have a current state and a desired state, okay? So you have to think about this. You need, for your clients, in order to logically say yes to something, it needs to make sense. And incomplete solutions never make sense. Okay, I'm gonna give you the same gym example. Let's say I work with a personal trainer, right? So this guy is helping me gain weight, okay? If the personal trainer tells me, hey Dennis, I'm gonna show up with you at the gym, but then you have to figure out nutrition because I don't really deal with that. Am I gonna buy from that personal trainer? Maybe in 1% of the cases, but I'm still not gonna be fully satisfied, okay? But what if the personal trainer says, Dennis, I'm gonna hold you accountable, come with you to the gym, send you feedback, take care of your nutrition, and take care of measuring your progress over the next 6 months together. Now it makes sense, right? It makes way more logical sense. So that's what you need to do. Most of you are being like, oh, I'm a copywriter, but I do not implement the actual copy on the website, or I do email marketing, but I don't deal with the technical stuff. They can set it up themselves. Yeah, you want me to be honest with you? This mentality keeps you broke. Same thing for ghostwriters. Oh, I write the manuscript, but I cannot find a publisher for my client, right? Like you are engineering your way to failure because nobody wants to buy an incomplete solution. So what I want you to do is after you figure out the emotional trigger, sit down and look at this. Okay, what's my customer current state? What is their desired state? What do they need to go from A to B? For copywriting, it could be this. Maybe they need strategy, first of all. They don't know what to post, how much to post, or where to post, or what to do, okay? Then they need the actual copywriting. Then they need the metric tracking to see like how the ads perform, to see how the content performs. Then they need consulting on, hey, is this actually worth it? Should we do something else? Should we jump into other channels, okay? So spend some time, like you're watching this video, stop watching 3-hour free courses on how to get clients, okay? This is the only one you need, I promise you. And go watch things on how to build strategy, how to track metrics, how to build tracking sheets, how to use Klaviyo, how to implement the emails, how to post the blogs for your clients. All of this is learnable. And if you refuse to learn it, it doesn't mean you're protecting your creative energy. It means you're just lazy. Come on. Like you can still be creative and help your client achieve what they want. Okay? And I promise you, you will charge more, you will have happier clients and better case studies. So you have nothing to lose. You literally have nothing to lose. Same with ghostwriting, you know? Like some people are like, oh, I'm only gonna write the manuscript and they need to have the idea and I don't deal with publishing or marketing. No, help them develop the idea of the book. Help them ghostwrite it. Connect them with the publisher. Connect them with the marketing team. I promise you, if you look in your network or literally if you just go to LinkedIn and you look for publishers or like book marketers or book coaches or whatever, If you start sending messages and you book networking calls for the next 30 days, you will have all the partners that you need to provide that to your client. I'm not saying you learn how to do the publishing, right? Because you're not going to be a publisher, but at least give them the solution, which is, instead of letting them do it by themselves, like just make them 3 to 4 connections, let them choose, explain to them why hybrid is good, why self-publishing is good, why going with a traditional publisher is bad. Like, okay, build those things and show them what they have to do. Okay, that's pretty much it. If you have these 2 things, your offer will work in any case, I promise you. If it doesn't, come back and comment on the video and I don't know, I'm gonna delete it. But I promise you this is gonna work, okay? Now let's go to messaging framework, okay? So now that we've built the offer, how do we transition that offer into messaging? Because before we start doing client acquisition and sending out messages and choosing the platform, we need to understand how to write good messages, okay? And this isn't one of those things where I give you a script, like use this script and fill in the blanks and that's it, because I don't believe in scripts. Okay, you need to understand the framework. If you know the framework, you will be able to write good scripts by yourself, especially if you're a copywriter, okay? So let's get into it. For messaging, when you're writing a cold pitch, okay, first of all, again, it has to be them-centered, not you-centered, and it needs to have logical sense, but it needs to have 3 core things, guys, okay? Number 1 is specificity. Number 2 is difference. Number 3 is authority. Let me explain. So let's start from the middle, specificity, okay? In terms of specificity, you need to promise the outcome, as I said above, and it needs to use industry-specific slang, okay? You don't need to go crazy on this like you've been working in finance for the last 20 years, but add some personalization based on the industry, like, I don't know, if you're in the finance world, maybe talk about how budgets are finally refreshing in 2026, right? Or if you are writing for e-commerce stores, you can use terminology like CTA, CPM, CTR, like the technical stuff that e-com owners know, right? So just be a bit specific in terms of the industry, because subconsciously, that makes people think you understand what you're doing, right? So they're gonna be way more inclined to listen to you, all right? Now, the second thing is authority, okay? You need to showcase in your message case study, proof, right? You need to have a bold promise and your accolades. And I want to tell you one thing. If you are a freelancer and you're not collecting results from your clients, you need to start doing it, okay? Because if you do not collect results from your clients, you are wasting opportunity to use those accolades in the messages, okay? Look at this. How does it sound when I say, I can help you write compelling words that will get you more clients? Or what if I say, I recently worked with this e-commerce brand and I generated 500K just from their email list. Can I show you how it works? See the difference? I asked the e-com brand, hey, what were the results my copy brought in? 500K, boom, I have case study and proof. I use that, okay? And then accolades as well. Like if you've been doing this for 20 years, use that. If you've been a journalist for 30 years and you're also a ghostwriter, use that. If you've won awards, if you're an Emmy award winning creative, use that, okay? Use your accolades. That's why you got them, okay? Don't keep them on a back shelf while on Zoom and that's it. Use them in your marketing. That's why you have them, okay? And last thing is difference. You need to have unique positioning, different wording, and your own unique twist, okay? And that's why I'm not giving you a script, because I don't want you to sound like every single person on this planet. That is not going to work. That is not going to generate you a single positive result. And I cannot give you a framework for how to sound unique, because you are you, I am I, right? So what you need to do is figure out the way you talk, the way you express confidence, the way you put ideas on paper. Find your uniqueness and add it to the message, but make sure you have these other 2 things as well, okay? If you have these 3 things, then you can apply them consistently to your messaging, on your profile, in your bio, headline, banner, messages, follow-up sequences, emails, proposals, okay? So this messaging, you can put it everywhere in your business. And that's why we've spent the first part of this training covering this. Now, moving on to the second part of the training, we're going into client acquisition. And this, guys, this is going to be, I promise you, liquid gold, okay? So pay attention. Now that we have the offer and the niche, let's go into how we actually get clients. What is our framework that we've used to successfully deliver high quality prospects to over 149 freelancers? Well, it starts with platform selection. Before we go into messaging, before we go into like the nitty-gritty of the strategy, we need to understand what a good platform is. So let me explain. First of all, if we look at Upwork and job hunting, please stop doing it. Okay? It's a race to the bottom. It's low quality clients and you have no control over your income. Why? Because if people are looking on a marketplace to buy something, they're going to a marketplace because they want to haggle, because they want the lowest price, because they don't know where to find qualified talent. Okay? So these ones are the hell of freelancers. Okay? I highly advise against using these. Unless you started like 10 years ago and you are top 1% on Upwork, then maybe you can do it. But otherwise, no, just no, okay? Referrals and word of mouth. This is your bonus platform. You should not rely on referrals and word of mouth to grow a business. They are not sustainable long term. They do lead to the highest quality clients. So that's a very good thing there. But the timing is also random. You cannot predict when a referral comes in. You cannot predict when a past colleague reaches out to ask for some work, okay? So if you allow yourself to rely on referrals and word of mouth, then you're allowing yourself to be inconsistent. And if you have inconsistency and you're upset that your income goes up and down, this is why, okay? Because your client acquisition is up and down. You cannot control this, okay? So that's why it's good to have it as a bonus, but not as the main thing you rely on. Now, what I would rely on personally for sustainability is cold outbound. Okay? Cold outbound is measurable and trackable. You know exactly how many messages you send every single day. It leads to good quality clients. They're not the best clients because they haven't come from a referral, they haven't known you from a trusted contact, you know? But they're still better than Upwork and job hunting. Because if you convince someone to buy from you from cold outbound, it means you've done a very good job and it means their desire is high, okay? Unlike Upwork or job hunting where it's like they're just posting job boards and 100 people reach out and yeah, you get the point, okay? So the structure I would do is focus on cold outbound for sustainability, use referrals and word of mouth as a bonus, okay? Because cold outbound will generate referrals and word of mouth. You will land the good quality clients and they will refer you to other good quality clients, okay? But just quit this, okay? Just stop or now. Don't do it anymore in your life, okay? Now, why do I think cold outbound on LinkedIn is the best way to go about cold outbound? Well, for a couple of reasons. Unlike Instagram, Facebook, and other platforms, first things first, you never land in spam. There is no such thing as a spam folder on LinkedIn. Your message either gets in their notification tab or it goes directly to their email inbox as a notification again. So you're always top of mind with LinkedIn. That's why the reply rates are so high on the platform. It's like crazy. We've seen even like 35% reply rates on cold outreach. Can you imagine 100 people you reach out to, 35 get back to? Like it's insane, right? It's a business oriented platform, guys. So like when you go on Instagram, you don't want to be pitched. You go on Instagram because you want to doom scroll, watch brain rot, speak to your friends, whatever, right? Same with Facebook. You're going to check in with your family, that kind of stuff, right? But LinkedIn, nobody has a LinkedIn profile and activity on the platform if they are not specifically interested in business. So that is why it's the best place for cold outbound. Thirdly, it allows you to have premium tools specifically designed for client acquisition. They have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which opens up literally a CRM inside of LinkedIn. It opens up literally a lead finder inside of LinkedIn. And even the free version, if you go to the search bar, you can apply filters. You can look for location, industries, job titles. So it's literally a no-brainer. How are you going to find CEOs on Instagram? How do you know someone is a CEO on Instagram? Because I don't have the fact that or maybe I do have the fact that I'm a business owner on Instagram, but I don't have the fact that I'm a CEO of a tech company making $5 million a year. You're never gonna know, right? You can judge that by my profile picture or my stories, but you can judge that by my LinkedIn profile, okay? And lastly, crown niches, the one we talked about earlier, they hang around here way more than the other platforms because people with money and intention, they go on and intentionally do business. They don't sit around on Instagram and Facebook all day long, okay? So that is like my logic behind LinkedIn being the best platform out there. Now that you understand this, what is the client acquisition strategy we use to make LinkedIn work? I'm going to walk you through the whole process and show you how to find qualified appointments, how to book qualified appointments, from LinkedIn, okay? So pay close attention again. This is getting very technical, very deep. This is the exact framework we use as well for our company. And just last month alone in January, we generated $55,000 in contract revenue just from this strategy alone. Okay, so basically we have top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. Okay, as you can see, each one has a focus. The first one is attention, then we have interest, then we have conversion. The problem with most freelancers, okay, is that they try to sell in the top of the funnel. They try to sell in the middle of the funnel, and they try to sell in the bottom of the funnel. Okay, but cold outreach, cold outbound is not about selling. Cold outbound is to generate attention, to create eyeballs on your offer. It's not to sell anything, okay? You sell in the conversion phase, in the bottom of funnel. So I'm going to show you exactly how this works, okay? Let's cover top of funnel. The top of the funnel is cold outreach and content, okay? Content is optional as well. I just want to make that clear. I don't feel like with LinkedIn, it's not like one of those platforms where content matters that much, like YouTube, okay? You're watching this on YouTube. I cannot get clients on YouTube without content, right? But with LinkedIn, I do feel that cold outreach is the only thing you need to get clients and to get attention, okay? So, but content, if you want to do content, then that's obviously that's a boost, okay? That's something extra that you can do if you want. So in the top of funnel, we have three fundamental things. Number one is finding leads, okay? How do you find leads on LinkedIn? Well, first of all, you need to go upgrade your LinkedIn to a premium subscription, but be careful, not the business premium one, which is the basic one. It should be the LinkedIn Sales Navigator Core, okay? It's like $100 a month, and this is what you need specifically if you want to find high quality, targeted leads on LinkedIn. Because what this does is it opens up a whole new dashboard inside of LinkedIn where you can look for people based on either the profile or the company they work with. And it allows you to specifically target them based on job title, okay? Based on job title, based on years in current position, geography. You can add company name keywords, right? And you can even look at hiring intent, revenue level, growth in specific departments in the last 6 months. That's pure gold. You're never going to find this on Instagram, okay? I promise you. So how do you find the leads? Well, you open Sales Nav and you use ChatGPT again for this, okay? ChatGPT is or Claude or like whatever AI you're using is one of the best ways for you to do research these days. So what I want you to do is open Claude or ChatGPT and ask him, if I'm doing a Sales Navigator targeted search and I want to work specifically with this niche and these types of clients, what are some company name keywords that I can use to find ideal prospects? And it's going to spit out a list of like 40 keywords. You just plug them in current company. You modify the rest of the filters as per your liking, okay? And that's going to generate you results, okay? For this one specifically, we have 9,000 qualified leads that we can start reaching out to with the messaging and the leveraged offer we've built in phase one, okay? Now, how do we reach out to these people? Well, with LinkedIn, there are two cold outreach methods. Method number one is connections, okay? You can go here to the three dots on the search and click on connect. This will open, it will give you the option to like add a note. So that is where you input the outreach message you've written, okay? Second one is free emails, and not a lot of people know about this. So you see, with LinkedIn emails, you basically have a limit of like 50 credits a month when you sign up, but you don't need those credits for outreach because there is a thing that LinkedIn doesn't tell you when you sign up, which is free emails. When you see a profile in the lead list and they have this little golden icon here, I hope you can see it because I cannot zoom more than that. It means they are an open profile. It means they are another a LinkedIn premium user. And if you click here on the message icon, it's going to open a box where it's going to say free to open profile instead of 1 out of 50 credits left or whatever, right? This is how you send hundreds of targeted DMs every single week because this has no limit on a weekly basis, like the connections, okay? The connections have a 200-ish limit per week, okay? And it has a 300 character limit, so you have to make the message short and sweet. Free emails, you can send about 600 to 800 per month before you like hit an algorithm limit, okay? But they have no character limit. Okay, so you can play even more, but honestly my suggestion is you should send the same message on both channels because short and sweet wins the race. So if you can craft a message that is compelling enough to get someone curious in 300 characters, you should use it with emails as well, okay? Don't make the mistake of thinking that the more detailed your message is, the better. Because in this stage, guys, we're focusing on attention. And if we generate a long message that looks like a resume, that is already going into conversion, okay? Keep it short and sweet, just make them curious, and that's the winning formula there, okay? So that's how you send messages. This is the formula to send 100 DMs every single working day of the month and get a shit ton of clients, okay? And then content is optional, but if you want to make content, this is Jasmine Alec. He's a very amazing guy that does LinkedIn personal branding, so I think you should go learn from him. If you want to get into content specifically, he's probably the best out there. But if you study his posts, he has a relevant hook and topic. He offers value in the body of the copy. And then he has a soft CTA that tells people to repost for others. Why? Because that created 73 reposts. And what this means is they accessed 73 other audiences without doing the work. Because when someone reposts, it's going to show it, LinkedIn's going to show it to that person's audience. So if every single person that reposted, let's say they had 1,000 people on average in their audience, these are 7,300 extra people that are going to see Jasmine's post. Okay? So if you post 3 times a week minimum, 7 times a week ideally, and you follow this post structure, and maybe you study Jasmine and his YouTube podcasts and his courses as well, you're gonna learn specifically how to make content work. But I wouldn't do content until you have 1,000 connections from cold outreach. Because if you don't have 1,000 connections from cold outreach, you're gonna make content for no one, okay? And it doesn't, your effort is way better spent here than here, all right? Now this is the top of funnel. This is how you generate attention. Now in the middle of funnel, we need to focus on interest. How do we generate interested people in what we do? Nothing more, again, we're not selling, we're just generating interest. So the middle of funnel consists of your first impression optimization, which is basically your profile, and your inbox, okay? Because once you cold outreach people, there's 2 things that are gonna happen. They're gonna check your profile and they're going to respond to your message. Okay, so how do we optimize that for interest? Well, first of all, as you can see, this is an example, guys. If I look on LinkedIn, because if you have the Sales Navigator version, it's gonna show you how many people viewed your profile. And this is when we started outreach for a client. Do you see how before we did outreach, we had 0 people seeing this guy's profile? Why do you think his content is going to succeed if the profile view chart looks like this? But once we started doing prospecting, we started working with this guy around December, okay? Do you see how it went up? Do you see how now every single day, consistently, we have almost 60 people viewing his profile? Okay? That's why cold outreach and generating attention in the first place, attention, okay? That's why that is important. So these people, if they see your profile, they need to be sold on why they should get back to you. That is why they go see the profile. If your profile looks bad, no one is going to respond to your message, and all this funnel you are learning today doesn't make any sense. Okay? So Dennis, how do you optimize your profile? Well, first of all, you have to avoid the mistake of optimizing your LinkedIn profile like a resume. Because people are not here to see a resume. People are here to see if they're interested in what you have to offer. And you want to optimize your LinkedIn profile like a sales page. Okay? Especially if you're a copywriter. If you can write hundreds of landing pages and sales pages and ads for other people, do it for you. Because you're still selling something. You're selling your service as a creative. So your profile that is going to be seen by 60 people every single day, it needs to be structured and framed like a sales page, okay? Let me show you. This is one of our other clients, Max, okay? He's doing great. I showed you earlier like his case study. So few elements here. Do you see his profile picture? Does this look like your average freelancer? Not really, right? Because it's professional. He's smiling. His vibe is amazing. His background is very brand oriented with the dark note. His t-shirt is also black. Beautiful profile picture, okay? Instantly, when someone sees his profile picture, it signals authority, quality, and someone that knows what they're doing. If the profile picture is a selfie of you like this, and in the background you have like an unorganized bedroom or whatever, no one's gonna get back to you. Okay, and that's why your messages are sent it's useless. Okay, now his banner. Your banner should have one purpose only: tell people what you do in one sentence. Max has a high authority speaker reel delivered in days, not weeks. What this does is, okay, Max, what he's doing is he's doing high authority reels for speakers. I already understand that. And he's delivering it in days, not weeks. That's all I need to understand on a fundamental level, of course, what Max is doing and get attention, okay, and get interest. Now my interest is starting up. Who is this guy with a nice profile picture that clearly stated his offer? You know, that's what people think. So next up we have the bio, okay, under the name here. And as you can see, the bio is 4 accolades. You need to show people why they have to listen. Now you told them what you do, now you need to tell them why they should listen. Exactly like on a sales page. Do you see what I'm doing here? So what Max says is Emmy-winning story editor for professional speakers. The Forever Real. Build 90-second booking engines, not highlight videos. The fact that he has Emmy-winning story editor in the name here, under the name, it's already authority. Okay, this guy's doing speaker reels and he's an Emmy award-winning editor. Okay, now my attention is here. Instead of seeing Max with the profile picture and the bio says where he went for college and that he has an MBA or whatever, you know, and no banner, like of course nobody gets back to you, right? Now, next up, the About section. The About section is your mini sales letter. And as you can see, Max you can pause the video and read this, but what this does is pretty simple. What I do, what it is, who this is for, CTA. Boom, that's the structure for the About section. Because now people, like, we caught their attention with this first section. Now they want to learn more. They want to get more in depth into it, okay? So now we give them the About section. Then they're gonna want to see like results. Okay, is this guy actually legit what he's saying? Boom, featured section on LinkedIn. If you didn't know, with LinkedIn, you can literally make posts of your client results, screenshots of conversations, numbers, recording yourself going over their metrics, and make that post and feature it on top of your profile. And you can have 3 featured posts, 3 to 6 featured posts, showcasing results like Max has. Look, for instance, this one says, this is one of the most vulnerable things I've ever said. He's opening up. He's showing you who he is. He's building connection, okay? Secondly, when we first started working on this project together, Adam said, boom, testimonial. Adam, successful client. So proud and grateful to be a part of this, a true dream team. Boom, awareness and testimonial. I know now Max is part of the team that created this amazing project, okay? So this is all engineered, guys. Max didn't build this profile like unintentionally like this, okay? This is all engineered to generate results. And this is what we do with our clients, okay? This is the level of this like precision we need to generate results. Then we have the experience section where Max again just states what he does. This isn't very important, but it's important you keep it human. So if you worked even at McDonald's like 5 years ago, do not delete that. Leave it there. People want to see that you are human as well. You weren't born Picasso, okay? So just like leave your experience in there. And then you can leverage the projects tab to showcase your work. If you're an editor, copywriter, book ghostwriter, you can use the projects tab to showcase projects. Look at Max, what he's doing. Boom, number 1, Angela Gargano, high impact keynote speaker. This is probably a video that he made. Adam Christing, Forever Real. This is another video he made. So now after people have understood what he does, they saw the results, now they can also see the work he's doing. And lastly, we also have recommendations. Like give this guy a second Emmy award because it's so good, right? Now, after all of this, we reinforce everything. Okay, this is what I do. This is the results. This is my work. And this is what other real people say about me. Because on LinkedIn, you can request recommendations from people. And people can directly see who this guy is, global asset management marketing executive. They can see the company they work with, and they can see like what they're saying. So amazing, amazing, amazing way to gather testimonials, okay? And I promise you, if you have a profile like this, it's impossible people will not get back to you. So if you think your LinkedIn profile is complete because you made a few posts and you have a banner with your contact information, it's not. Okay? Take this video, humble yourself down, and get to work because you have way more work to do. All right? Now, this is how you optimize your profile. Next up, the second thing of generating interest is the inbox. And this is the biggest thing. Your inbox conversations after someone gets back to you isn't meant to sell anyone. It is meant only to generate attention and trust and get someone to book a call with you, okay? And this is literally our framework here. If we have an interested lead, if they say they're not interested, okay, so let's say they respond to our message and they're not interested, we ask them for a referral. Okay, name, cool, you're not interested, but do you know anyone who can be interested? Shoot your shot. 1 in 100 people are gonna say yes. You're still gonna get something out of it, you know? It's a copy-paste thing, so do it, okay? Now, if someone is interested, we either propose a call or send a resource. In a market where sophistication is low, so there's not a lot of your competitors out there, you want to go straight to a call. Okay, you propose a conversation where you show them more of what you do. If you are in a high sophistication market where there's a lot of competitors, you share with them a resource, which is going to be a value video created around how good your offer is compared to the other people, what your accolades are, and why they should work with you, basically. And then you propose them a call, okay? If they don't respond, then you follow up with them. If they do respond, you move on to the next stage, okay? And if they're interested, you send the resource if you use that method, or you send the calendar link if you use this method, okay? Same thing, if they don't respond, you follow up 3 times, okay? So every single time you want to follow up 3 times, guys. If they book an appointment, awesome, then that's it, okay, you won. If they didn't book an appointment, you follow up 3 times again, and if they still don't respond to you, then just mark them as a lost opportunity. If they have questions, okay, before they book an appointment, what you want to do is you want to answer their question, but in the same message, loop back to action. Okay, don't just answer their question and then wait around, because nobody's gonna get back to you, right? So you can say, like, they ask what your price is. Okay, you tell them, okay, cool, it's custom, it could be $3,000 to $5,000, whatever. Does that sound like something you want to explore? See, like my call to action, my question at the end loops back to getting a yes or a no on my next step in the process. Okay, so that's how you want to do it. Now, the key performance indicators, and this is what we're seeing with our clients, is something like this, okay? You should see like a 10 to 20% reply rate on your messages. Or it can go, like, it depends on the market, but it can be, let's say, 5 to 20%, okay? 20% is tremendously good, 10% is decent, 5% is bare minimum, okay? Now, the number of people, like the positive reply rate, so the number of people that are interested from the total reply you get, should be between 20 to 40%. 40% is phenomenal, 30% is good, 20% is bare minimum. The booking rate from your outreach, how many people book from the total messages you send, should be between 0.5% to 1%. 1% is phenomenal, 0.7, 0.8 is good, 0.5 is bare minimum. If you follow these key performance indicators and you hit them, you have enough calls to make money, I promise you, okay? That's it, guys. This is middle of funnel interest. Now, for the conversion, okay, this is the bottom of the funnel. I want you to understand that this is where we add friction in the process. You being available 24/7 as a freelancer does nothing but harm in your process, in your life, in your business. You need to add friction and show people that you're not easy to work with. And we are going to break this down very in detail here in the pre-call engineering process, okay? So bear with me because we're gonna get there, but I just wanted to show you on a fundamental level and on a bigger scale where you need to add friction to the process. And by friction, I mean like qualify people, nurture people, and so on and so forth, okay? So let's get into the bottom of funnel, which is the post-booking assets. So what you want to do is before you jump on a call with someone, you want to make sure that they are already converted by the time they come to the call. And I know this sounds crazy because Dennis, what do you mean like I don't convert them on the call? No, the conversion, as in like the logical and emotional decision that what you do works for them, should happen before you even click press on the Zoom meeting, okay? How do you do that? Well, 3 steps. Number 1, before people book a call. So let's say you got all the way to this point where you send the calendar link, okay? Then what you want to do is you want to send people a qualification form, asking them questions that you would want to know to see if they're an ideal client or if they're a potential time waster. For a ghostwriter client of ours, the questions are, what is the purpose of you wanting to write this book? We ask about budget as well. What stage they're at already with development, so we know where they're starting and how soon they can get started, okay? This can be customized, but I suggest you have between 3 to 5 questions that can qualify the prospect. And you don't accept any booking before they filled out this form and sent it to you, okay? That's one. Second thing is the nurturing funnel. The nurturing funnel is a landing page or even a Google Doc you can send people where you want to attach a video, which I call a thank you VSL, okay? You know what a VSL is, right? A video sales letter. This is a thank you VSL because it's supposed to thank people for booking the appointment, but also set expectations and deliver value. So this is exactly where you start talking about what ghostwriting is and how it could help them and who you are and who your ideal client is and all of that. You don't do that on the call, you do it here and you make them watch this before you jump on Zoom, okay? And then you also give them social proof and accolades. You give them samples, resume, testimonials, even more than the ones you have on your LinkedIn profile. So you basically engineer their nurturing process and you engineer the fact that they are going to be converted, okay? Lastly, you also want to have touch points. You know what they say? A prospect is going to buy from you after they have like whatever number of touch points, right? I think it was, I don't know, 20 or something, or like the standard sales advice thing. But you can build a couple of touch points right before the call. You can send a confirmation and nurturing email instantly after they book the appointment, sending them back to this page right here, to the nurturing funnel. You can then send a reminder and add some extra value 24 hours before the call. So you can be like, hey, look, I know we have the call in 24 hours. I'm excited. Here's this video I recorded going over how I got 200K in sales for this e-com brand with my copywriting skills. Boom, extra value. Again, extra nurture, okay? Email 3. You can ask for a confirmation from them. And this can boost your authority and also confirm the call. You know, you can be like, hey, look, if you don't confirm the call, I'm going to cancel it, basically, right? And if someone is being fussy about it, okay, they're not your client. Because why can't they respect you asking for a confirmation? You're a busy person, right? You're not just like a bouffon that jumps on Zoom every day with everyone, you know? Email 4, making it easy for them to join. Send them the booking, the Zoom link or the Google Meet or whatever, 10 minutes before the call. And that will get them to never forget about showing up to the call, okay? If you do this, if you qualify people, you nurture them, and you engineer these touch points, you are going to get qualified appointments, okay? I know you're tired of people telling you how to get booked calls and volume and many calls and whatever. Just focus on quality for once. Because if you have 5 appointments every single month, and they are all high quality people that you would want to work with, they have the budget, they've seen your work, they know what you do, I guarantee you will close one. Instead of jumping on 20 networking calls with people that underestimate you, look up on you. They say, why should I trust you? Why can't you do it for cheaper? We still have to think about it. All that BS, you can get rid of it if you engineer qualified appointments. Okay, and this is how you do it. This is the whole client acquisition strategy, guys. You don't need anything else if you want to succeed, okay? So now we're gonna get into the key part here, which is the logical delegation. Because once you learn the system, you cannot do it by yourself forever. Because let me show you, okay? If you learn this and you do it for the next 5 years, every single day by yourself, this is going to lead you into the stagnant phase trap. Because what's going to happen is you do all the outreach yourself, okay? Then that makes you busy with client work because you get clients, which leads to you stopping the outreach because you have no more time to do the outreach because you deliver to the clients. Your pipeline dries up because the next 3 months you're so focused on working with the clients that you have no other conversations with qualified buyers. After your clients leave, you panic and you start outreach all over again until you get busy with clients again. This is a hamster wheel, and I don't want you to be on this. This is what all the course sellers are not telling you. They teach you a method They show you how to send Loom videos on Instagram. They show you how to send cold outreach messages. They show you how to go to networking events. But they don't tell you what happens after you get the clients. And that is why their methods work for 6 months and then they go back to zero. And you're here watching this video looking for another method. Okay? Now, how you get out of this is by moving from prospecting to delegating. You need to delegate prospecting. Prospecting is like the best thing to get rid of in your business and have someone else doing it. And that is where the delegation, that's why we called it the delegated prospecting engine, right? Because that's what we mainly focus on, learning how to do prospecting and delegating it, okay? Now, why would you delegate prospecting? Or why would you pay money to someone to delegate prospecting? Well, think about it this way. With prospecting, okay? In prospecting mode, your hourly rate is $100. The task value of prospecting is $3 to $10 an hour, guys. You can find a qualified outbound specialist / virtual assistant to do this for you for $3 to $10 an hour. So basically, if you're doing this yourself, you are getting paid $3 to $10 an hour instead of getting paid $100 an hour. So your receivables is minus $90 to $97 an hour. You're losing money. You're literally losing money. Every single hour you are sitting there prospecting. And this is okay in the first phase, but you cannot do it for years and years and years and expect a different outcome. So your total loss, if you do 40 hours of prospecting per month, you're losing $3,600 in receivables that you could make if someone would do the prospecting for you. Now, if you're in delegation mode and you actually delegate prospecting, your hourly rate is still $100. The task value is still $3 to $10, but now someone else is doing it, so you have to pay that out of pocket. But now you make $100 this hour because you work with a client and they pay you $100. You take $3 to $10 of that $100 and you pay them to your virtual assistant, outbound specialist, whatever you want to call them. So the receivables now, they're $90 to $97 an hour. So in this situation, you not only delegate prospecting and not only escape the hamster wheel of doing the same task every single day, but you make $3,600 a month extra for doing it. This is insane. I know I'm framing it as it's like this huge lottery win, because it is. There's no better thing to do in your business than delegating prospecting. It's literally making money by making money. Like, I cannot explain it to you in a different way. So yeah, that's why you need to delegate, okay? That's why you need to stop doing the prospecting, start delegating. But you need to do the prospecting until you figure it out, because if you delegate something that doesn't work, it's still not going to work, okay? That's the important part. Now, what is the delegation framework? What do we do for our clients and how can you delegate it? Well, first of all, you build an SOP, a standard operating procedure, around your outreach strategy, and you record yourself with Loom, as I'm doing right now, if you're teaching your best friend on what to do. So think about this. In front of you, it's your best friend, and they want to do prospecting for you. They want to take over. Okay, A to Z, start recording. Hey man, this is exactly what I do, and this is how you should do it yourself. Only after you have a full SOP on what you do and how it works, then you go into the step-by-step process. And then it's pretty simple. Step number 1, you look on platforms like Upwork and Fiverr for LinkedIn specialists. So you literally go in the platform, you search the title, LinkedIn specialist, and a bunch of people are going to show up. Step number 2 is you will filter talent. I promise you, don't try anything else. Just choose Filipino, English speaking, and that's going to be it. You're going to find the top quality people, because Filipinos are the most hardworking people out there and they speak perfect English, okay? Most of them. So that's pretty much it. You may need to make sure they're not using any automations. Guys, anyone selling you a bullshit LinkedIn automation course or strategy, don't do it. Go to LinkedIn right now. Open the terms of service and search the word automation. LinkedIn clearly states using any automation tools or third-party softwares is against their guidelines, and you are risking getting banned from LinkedIn forever. If you will get banned from LinkedIn forever, you have no client acquisition channel for the rest of your life to do cold outbound with the method I'm showing you. So please, please, please do not trust any automations. Do not trust the fact that they say they're LinkedIn friendly. They're not, okay? And go read LinkedIn terms of service and you will understand why I'm saying this. Because we don't use automations with our clients, right? And I learned to not use the automations. So this is a red flag. If a virtual assistant has used automations in the past, just don't bother with it because you don't know what's going on in their computer. So you don't want any of that on your account, okay? And of course, you want someone with previous experience with LinkedIn outreach. You don't have to teach them from scratch in that case, and that's why you're paying them, right? So you only have to teach them the strategy, right? And how you do it and like the SOP. But if you find someone with experience, that's great. Step 3, you interview 15 to 20 candidates on Zoom and record them on Fathom.ai. Okay, this is an AI meeting recorder. So you jump on the interviews and you record all the calls. Very, very important. If you skip this part, you literally failed the process, okay? Step 4, you upload the interviews because Fathom, basically when you go to Fathom, after you have a recording, it's gonna have a transcript option. So you can click on that, copy paste 15 transcripts in a Google Doc, download it as a PDF, upload it in ChatGPT, and tell him to do an analysis of the best 3 potential employees, okay? And then you choose the best 2, okay? You can do 3 as well, but I recommend just 2 because you're just gonna know who's the perfect one. The vibe is gonna be there. But yeah, you just choose the best 2. And then step 5, you give them a 2-week trial to see how they perform. Do not jump into signing contracts or making someone your best friend before you see things in action. Because words are words, action is action. So you need to see what they do even after they get accepted, okay? So you test each one for 2 weeks for a 1 month total. And then step 6 is you do a shadowing Zoom session where you literally sit with them for a few hours every single day for a full week to ensure they are doing their job properly and you are teaching them what to do. And then once you choose one of them, step number 7 is constant monitoring. Okay, looking in the inbox every single day, daily reports, looking at the numbers, tracking the data, okay, looking at the metrics, having a weekly check-in call, and upping the standard every single time. And coming up with bonus structures, okay? They're going to be your employees, so you make them feel respected because you need to respect them. If you respect your employees, they're going to respect you, okay? So this will lead to 1 month of hard work. I know this sounds complicated, and you know what? It is. If there was an easy way for us to do this, then we wouldn't be a premium service provider, we wouldn't have amazing client results, and it wouldn't work that well. This is hella hard. It took us 2 years to figure this out, and you're learning it right now, step by step, without having to go through all the failure we've been through, right? But it is hard. I'm not gonna say it's easy because it's not, okay? So 1 month of hard work can lead to years of peace, scale, and sustainability, because once you have this person on your team, or at least you have the full framework, and you did it once, and it worked, you can do it over and over again, that's gonna lead to you becoming the delegator instead of the prospector. Make more money, save more time, save more dark hairs in your head, okay? Because prospecting is gonna be very tough. If you keep doing it for 5 years, every single day, you're gonna go insane, okay? Now, if all of this sounds complicated, guys, okay, this is what we do at Freelance Clients. All of this, like before we go into step 4, I wanna say this, all of this here, building the offer and the niche, the strategy, delegating it for you, finding this person, shadowing them, managing them, daily reporting, weekly check-in calls, we do all of this for you. So if you want to skip all of this and be even smarter and delegate the process of delegating this, book the call with me in the link below this video. We can talk about it, okay? But for now, let's go back to the process because there's one last fundamental thing you need to learn before we close the gap on this. Because now that we delegated prospecting, we have qualified appointments coming in every single day of the week. So we need to learn how to turn these appointments into clients, okay? You need to learn how to close. So that's what we're gonna learn in the sales refinement part, which is the last one. And we have 2 sections here. We have pre-call engineering, so what you do before the call, and we have the sales call process, okay? So basically, before you even start the Zoom call, as I said, conversion, okay, conversion like this, it happens before the call, okay? What most of you are doing now, okay, how you are engineering your calls is with 0 friction. You send people to a blank goddamn Calendly page, you frame it as a networking call or a coffee chat, you book time wasters because they might want something in the future, okay? And you don't confirm the calls, so some of them don't even show up to it. Okay, and then you go into the sales process. Of course, you're not going to close any deals. because nobody knows who you are. The intention to buy is not there, and they haven't confirmed the call, so you don't even know if they're going to show up. So how do you want them to pay you money? They won't, okay? The way you do it is by adding intentional friction. Intentional friction is, again, the bottom of funnel in your client acquisition, okay? It's basically having the intake form, okay? So you send the form where you ask the qualifying questions. You send them to the landing page where you build a video around their objections, okay? Do you know when you get on a call with a prospect and at the end of the call they say stuff like, why can't you do it for cheaper? What is the difference between you and other providers? What is your value proposition? BS like that, okay? Okay, make a list of those things that you keep hearing, or put your call recordings in ChatGPT and ask him, what are the main objections people are giving me? And record a video addressing those objections before the call, okay? So that way, on the call, they're not even gonna talk about it because they've already gotten the answer, okay? And it's not gonna be, again, if they see that before the conversations, it's not gonna be you defending yourself anymore. Because on the call, when they ask something and you jump into, oh, but wait, this is why, and this is why, and this is why. Like, you're defending yourself and they can see that and your confidence level goes down. But when they see it before, they're gonna be like, oh, wait, this guy, like, they know what they're doing. That's why they're telling me these things before the call. See, like, that's intentional engineering, actually. We engineer a good call. It doesn't come like from luck, guys. You need to work on these things, okay? And I know they don't teach you this in freelancing school because it's all creativeness and hope that people will pay you and referrals and whatever. But you need to have a business side of things if you want to grow. And I'm not saying you should become Jeff Bezos, but if you can understand this 1 hour process that I showed you here and implement it, you don't need anything else, okay? That's it. Now, after you have the form, so you qualified people, and you show them your pre-handled objections. Step 2 of the intentional friction is confirming the call. The email sequence I showed you earlier, calling them even 1 hour before the call or 15 minutes before the call, saying, hey, look, I'm here. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Do you have the Zoom link or do you want me to send it to you, right? That's definitely going to show them that, hey, this guy is serious. He's calling me, you know, like he's not just like hiding behind an email. And obviously, like, you're going to have a good energy when you call them. So that's going to immediately get in their brain, like, this guy sounded really nice. I can't wait to meet with him, right? Again, this is pure engineering here, okay? You have to do this. Number 3 is authority. The more social proof, the more friction you have, this signals authority, okay? The social proof is the case studies, the testimonials, the writing samples, anything that clients ask for at the end of the call, put it before the call. Make them watch it. And if someone comes to the call and they tell you, I didn't have time to watch the resources, or, you know, it was a busy week and I only got to take a glance at it or whatever, they're not serious enough, okay? If someone is serious to work with you, they will find 10 goddamn minutes to watch a video, okay? So don't believe any of that bullshit right there, okay? Don't believe it. It's just like you need to make it clear what you do before the call, and they need to watch it. That's their part of the deal, okay? And the friction, like all this friction, like adding the emails, adding the landing page, making them watch the video. You know what? 10% of the people are gonna be like, you know what? This is too much. Like, I don't wanna do this. It's so complicated. Just tell me what you do and the price, and I'm gonna let you know. You don't want those people. Those people are not your clients. Those people are tire kickers, time wasters, and price shoppers, okay? If someone doesn't respect your process in terms of having a conversation with you, they are not interested. I promise you. I promise you. If someone cannot confirm an email, watch a 10-minute video, and respond to a phone call, they're not serious enough. And if they complain about it, then it means that for them, it's more important to be fucking frustrated than to make more money. Excuse my language there, but that's the reality, okay? I have to tell it to you because nobody else will. It's not all nice and flowers, okay? These are things that you have to be aware of when you're in business, okay? So if you have these 3 things right here, you're adding intentional friction, you are engineering your way to a better sales process, Okay, better sales process. Now, last piece of the puzzle is, okay, Dennis, I have the offer, I have the calls booked, I have my delegation, I have my pre-call engineering. How do I close the deal? Well, it's pretty simple. You do it by having a sales process. By having a sales process, what I mean is not having a script and reading from it on the call, because that doesn't work. Okay? I hate that. I'm not doing it. I will never do it, and you shouldn't either, because it signals the fact that you don't know what you're doing, and it signals the fact that you're being sneaky. You know, like you're trying to get them to do something so you can get the answer so they can say yes or no, you know? That doesn't work, okay? Sales is about confidence and authenticity. Okay, so you can still have a process, you can still have a framework, a guideline that you follow, but it needs to be you. So that is why, again, I'm giving you 4 phases you need to follow in a sales process, but I'm not giving you a script because there is no script for it, okay? Phase number 1 is genuine rapport. Okay, so when you start the call, you need to set the frame. You need to tell them, hey, this is what we're gonna do today on the call. No BS, okay? Don't ask them about the weather, how many cats they have, or whatever. One, because you're wasting valuable time where you could spend on actually conversating about business. And 2, they know you don't care. You know, like, yeah, you're being polite, but do you really care? Like, be serious. Do you really care how the weather is in Portland? Do you really care how much dogs your potential client has? Are they gonna bring the dogs on the sales call? Like, those are not things you need, okay? So just cut it. Just don't do it, okay? Just set the frame, show them you're a leader, explain to them how you do the calls, explain to them what's gonna happen, what kind of questions you're gonna ask, and ask them if they're okay with it, okay? Get permission. And then once you do this, I promise you, again, you're engineering trust. They're gonna trust you way more, okay? Now, phase 2 is deep discovery. And deep discovery is basically using the onboarding framework to ask questions. The onboarding framework is basically thinking like you are onboarding a client right now, and you need to know like the emotional and logical things about their offer and what they do and what their goals are, okay? You need to ask meaningful questions, because you asking what email provider they use is not helpful. You asking like how many people they've worked with in the past is not that helpful. You asking if they like whatever font, you know, for their blogs is not helpful, okay? Technicality is not helpful in the discovery phase. Discovery phase should be purely emotional, based on goals, desires, why, what they're doing now, why it isn't working, why they feel it isn't working, what they've tried to solve it, why that didn't work either, and what they would need to see in order to believe in your solution, okay? Show them that you go deep, because if you do not go deep, okay, then you're not gonna figure out what you need to figure out for the pitch. And if you go deep with someone in this kind of conversation, it shows them that you know what you're doing, and it shows them that you care, okay? The best thing you can learn as a skill for sales is to be a good listener. Be someone that understands problems. Think about it like you're speaking with a friend. If they're telling you like, I'm only making 1K a month, you're gonna be like, dude, how are you living in LA with 1K a month, you know? Be deep with your discovery. Don't be generic and surface level, okay? Now, once you figure out these things that I just mentioned, we go to phase 3, which is inefficiency-oriented pitch, okay? If you're using a pitch deck right now, it's like sabotage one-on-one, okay? Because if you have a discovery with someone, and then after you've spent 40 minutes learning about them as a person, as a business, as an individual, you went deep into questions and what you need to know, and then you pull up a presentation, you're basically just telling them that, oh, this guy is showing me the same thing that he showed to the last 100 people. And it shows them that you did not care at all, that you just asked the questions so you can get to your presentation and use what they told you as sales ammo, right? No. The way you want to pitch is have productized pillars and a personalized solution, okay? Break down your offer, okay? Going back to pillar 1, okay? Break down your offer in pillars Okay, what are the pillars that you need to implement, and have one pillar explaining each process, but every single component, okay, tie it down to one of their problems. Instead of saying, oh yeah, so I'm gonna do the metric tracking for you, and that's pretty much it. Say, hey John, do you know how earlier on the call you mentioned that your business is a mess and you don't have time to like look at the numbers and make decisions and you don't know what you're doing? Well, that's exactly why when we work together, we also track the metrics for you to make sure you have clear data to look at. It's not going to be anything more than you opening a Google Sheet Monday morning, and you're going to have a clear picture of what's working, what doesn't, and what needs to be changed. I'm not going to give you any script. This is what you need to understand. There is a framework for everything, guys. And this is how you need to pitch your service. Productized pillars and personalized solutions, okay? Take your 4 pillars, listen in the discovery, and once you figure out what they need, find a way to personalize the pillars. And that's it, that's what you need, okay? And phase 4, which is the last one, is commitment. And I want to break a false belief here. Closing people on the first call is almost impossible. I promise you, especially if you are a ghostwriter charging like 30K, 40, 50, 60K. Nobody's gonna make a $60,000 decision after 45 minutes, okay? But that doesn't mean commitment is optional, okay? Commitment is mandatory. And by commitment, I don't mean getting the 60K check at your doorstep. I mean booking a second call, getting a deposit, doing like a smaller engagement first to see how it goes. Get something from them, because the biggest reason why people are ghosting you is because of you. Because at the end of the call, you're like, yeah, all good and flowers and sunshine, John. Go take the information I gave you today, think about it, and send me an email in 3 weeks. Guess what? John is never going to write you an email, okay? So you have to get rid of the idea that John is going to get back to you. You're never seeing John again, I promise you. But what if I tell John, hey, John, look, I'm going to give you the information. You're going to need probably like 24 hours to look through the email, digest everything and all that. So why don't we meet again on Wednesday to discuss the proposal I'm going to put together for you, and then we can go from there, okay? That is still commitment. You're pushing them toward the next, you're leading them toward the next step, okay? If you can lead people towards the next step, they will always follow your guidance, but only if you engineer the friction in the first place and you engineer the whole process afterwards. And then from the next step, after let's say you have the call with John and you show the proposal, that's when you maybe ask for a deposit or a close, or you address their inefficiencies and concerns, right? And you just keep leading through the next step until they close or until they say no. There's no such thing as let me think about it for 3 weeks, okay? If someone tells me I need to think about it for 24 hours, I may believe them, you know? I may think, okay, this person, this is just their decision-making process. They want to do it, so I can give them 24 hours. But if someone tells me, I want to think about it like over the next few weeks or so, what are you going to do for the next few weeks? Sit in a chair, look at a blank wall and just think about it? After you've heard everything, after you've seen the results, after you've seen what I do, after you know you have the problem and you need a solution? Like, that's clearly your fault for not leading them through next steps, okay? If you have this, it will lead to a higher closing rate, a higher respect rate, and better clients, okay? Because now you dictate the collaboration, not the client, okay? These things lead to higher retention because you have better clients, and because you have better clients, you will be happier, you will deliver more results, so that will get you more referrals. And if you make more referrals convert and you have higher retention, you make more money and you have an easier life. Because, yeah, it's simple. Yeah, more money, easier life. That's it. I don't need to explain it to you guys. So that is the delegated prospecting engine. Okay? If you can implement this whole strategy here, then you will win. I promise you. No matter what kind of freelancer you are, no matter what service you have. Okay? So you can take this and start working towards it today. Or if you don't want to do all of this and you want to work with someone that has done it for over 149 times, we are the people to do it, okay? We've invented the system. There's no one else that has this because it's our system. Like, we didn't copy it, we made it, okay? We literally invented the thing. So if you want to get this system specifically implemented in your business and get results from it, go to the description, book a call, speak with either me or my business partner, and we will get you set up in no time. But other than that, I hope you found this extremely valuable. I hope you understand now what you need, and I will see you in the next video.